Ever been listening to your favorite podcast and think, hey, I want to start my own? Then you need Anchor. It's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First, everyone's favorite word free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Promise and Shanice are first cousins who recently graduated from college. All they wanted to do was enjoy their life, find a good man to settle down with, and have a family of their own. Shanice has found true love in Reggie to make her life complete, and Promise stumbles across one that will have her second guessing if love is really for her. Hurricane is a man who doesn't respect women due to the hurt he dealt with in the past. That is, until he meets Promise, who demands respect from him and won't back down from his beastly ways like everyone else. However, she sees through the facade he puts on, and just as she's about to break down those walls, someone comes in and makes him turn back into that beast that she learned to tame. Can Promise continue loving a man like Hurricane once she finds out the truth of why he came to town? Their love hate relationship will have you laughing, crying, and trying to figure out if they should stay together. Past enemies may be gone, but new ones can surface at any time and take your most prized possession. Reggie finds that out a little too late and is put in a position to handle the person he thinks is involved with hurting someone close to him. Will he be able to avenge what happened, or is it too late? Find out if being caught up loving a beast is worth it with these couples, or is it better to leave well enough alone? Hello, my beautiful people, and welcome back to the Bibliophile's Bookcase. I am your host, Erica the Bibliophile, and Tina J. Tina J. What can I say? I I hated this book. I, there's no other way to put it. And she has potential. And this is an old, let me start by saying this because her work could have gotten better. This book, Caught Up Loving a Beast, came out in 2016. So this work is almost 6 years old. Um, so she could have possibly grown in writing her other books, but this book right here, this book is awful. And it's a three-part series, but we not making it past the first book. And Tina J, if you ever hear this, just know, I mean, no disrespect to you. I just did not enjoy this book at all. Um, the first thing that I have a problem with is the story doesn't flow. It's very choppy. It's like we were right here, now we just bam, we're here. Like there's no description, there's no detail, there's nothing. And then, like, some of the conversations make no sense, and it was very hard to read. So I might like read a newer book and see, if that changed because this story was recommended to me. So I was like, okay, cool, because I didn't, well, I'm going to do that anyway because they're some of my favorite authors, but I didn't want to keep reviewing the same author. I want to give other people a chance as well because there are so many books out there to read. But I just, I'm sorry. Let's get into the book. Because, like I said, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but this book is just not it. So we start with her name is Promise. And right off the bat, the first thing that turned me off was Promise and her cousin Shanice. They're drop dead gorgeous. They're light skinned. They have pretty eyes. They have long, pretty hair. It's just like, do we not know another description for women? And I'm not trying to pander to anybody or anything like that, but a lot of the urban fiction novels, the woman is light skinned with long, pretty hair, with this coke shaped body. And it's just like y'all don't know no other type of women, like at all. Like, come on now. Like, and I'm not just putting this off on Tina J, so let's get that straight. But it's just like when y'all are writing these books, y'all don't know no fat people. Y'all don't know no dark skinned people that is not the light skinned chick's best friend of the book. It's like these people can't have short hair or like hair that just touch their shoulders. They not made up every day. Like, can we get a little bit of what's real? I know it's urban fiction. I know like they messing with these drug dealers, so they got to be made up all the time, or they just drop dead gorgeous. But it's like, can you just add just a little bit of normalcy in these books, like please. But anyway, so yeah, so that's the first thing. I'm just like, okay, ew, gross. But promising her, cause I was gonna call the girl her sister. They recently just graduated college, and they're going out to celebrate. And it's first of all, this is weird. So, Shanice has a boyfriend named Reggie. You know, they've been together for a while. They just love each other. They have the perfect relationship, or so people would think. Um, there's a guy named Tommy who Promise used to go with or used to have a relationship with, but it just wasn't for her. And now he has another girlfriend who is pregnant, but he always seems to be up on her, like wrapping his arms around her and saying like sexual things. But you know, like Lori's a cool chick. She don't really pay him and what he's doing too much attention. And Promise doesn't want him, and because the girls are kind of cool, this is okay. And I'm just like, make it make sense to me. Like, how does that make sense? Like, nigga, I don't care how cool I am and nonchalant I am. You're not gonna be like having your arms wrapped around another woman's waist in my face. Like that's ain't no amount of cool. Ain't no amount of cool whatsoever. But anyway, when they get to the club, for some reason it goes from her describing the clothes that they have on and how she has a job and she's saving up to get a house to her immediately bumping into this guy and she said, you know, excuse you. And his immediate response is, then you need to watch where the fuck you going. I'm a big ass nigga and I know your stuck up ass saw me. How do two people accidentally bumping into each other? How is this their first interaction and this is how they talk to each other? And promise, how are you? Okay. Oh, my bad. I forgot to say that. With them being light skinned, beautiful, and you know everything right with the world, they didn't grow up in the ghetto. They grew up around the street from the ghetto, but they snuck over, you know, to hang with the ghetto people. But they are not a part of the ghetto. And with you not being a part of the ghetto or the projects, you still like to act hood at the wrong time. And her saying that, like, I'm not ghetto, I'm not like that, but I like to pretend to be. What? Like, girl, this is not ATL. Like, and you are not Lauren London. What are you talking about? And I'm, and then okay, so she tells him, you know, if I saw you, I wouldn't have bumped into you. And so I'm like, okay, right, you right, true. And then you know, saying as far as stuck up, like you don't even know me, and this makes him like back her up into a corner and is yelling at her, saying, you know, who the fuck you think you talking to? I'm like, what? In what universe does this happen? Like, this makes no sense. And even with that, he has her pinned up against the wall because, you know, they're doing this back and forth of arguing really over fucking nothing. And he tells her, you may be a bad bitch, but I will slice your fucking throat if you say one more thing. Like, excuse me? And then I'm like, then he calling her a bitch. and all that type of shit. And she's like, bitch, every woman I meet is a bitch, hoe, and gold digger in my eyes, unless she can show me differently. That will never change. And it's like, nigga, do you need a therapist? Like, who asked you that? Nobody cares. And so, then some guy comes and pulls him away, and basically that's the end of that. So, oh, okay, let me say what she says verbatim. I may not be hood, but I love acting like I was. I guess my ass wrote a check that I couldn't cash. It's exactly because why would you pretend to be hood? Why would you go around niggas acting like you about that life and you really not? Niggas is always gonna want to try to pull your card and call your Man, I ain't, hell no. That don't make no fucking sense. So anyway, with Reggie and Shanice, perfect couple, love each other. Reggie swears that, he loves the ground that Shanice walks on. And long story short, he had a baby that he's been hiding from her. The baby mama keeps threatening to tell her, but he goes over to see her to keep her quiet. Then one night he gets a phone call from the hospital saying that, Child Protective Services is coming, and unless he doesn't get down there, they're gonna take his daughter, because she was burned by a candle that the baby mother left burning in her room, which makes no fucking sense. Because she claimed to not have batteries to replace the nightlight in the daughter's room, so she lights a candle and leaves it next to the crib. Um, and so, but my thing is, it's like, how do you go? Anyway, Shanice goes to work, or like she's doing something where she's at that same hospital and sees him at the hospital, and she gets some information, find out why he's there, and goes into the room of the hospital room, and the baby mama is sitting on his lap, and she says something, and he does, and I'm trying to understand. I'm like, why is she sitting in your lap? Like, why haven't you moved her? And even when you hear the door open, even if you did think it was the nurse, why did you not move her off your lap? But when he realizes that it's Shanice, it's like, oh, I'm in shock. I don't know what to say. Like, whoop de whoop, whatever. So, of course, she leaves him because it's like, nigga, you have a 2-year old that you've been hiding from me? Like, what the fuck? And so he explains that technically, when they first started talking, they were not dating. They were just talking, I guess. And he wasn't having sex with her yet, so he was having sex with the baby mama because they were having sex like before he met her and all that type of stuff. So I think what the baby is one. Yeah, they've only been together for 2 years. The baby is 1.5. So it's like technically I didn't cheat on you, so you can't be mad about that. And it's like, nigga, yes I can. Cause even if the baby, like even if we weren't together, it's still the fact that like you hid a child. I was gonna say held. You hid a child from me. Like make that make sense. Like why are you hiding this child if you didn't think that you was doing something wrong, or the fact that you slept with her like right when we were talking, if you didn't feel like that was wrong, like make it make sense. It doesn't. And so she leaves. She fucks up the house, grabs a bat, like destroys everything, and she's done with him for a while. She goes to Promise's house and she hides out because she's like, I just don't want to talk to anybody. And lo and behold, she's pregnant herself. Excuse me. So then Promise's thing is Reggie hooks her up with an interview for this club where she can be the financial advisor, and Hurricane, the guy who she got into it in the club with, he is the owner. Now, there's nothing wrong with this, but it's just like every other sentence from him is him yelling. So she's being intimidated, or then, like she's talking back, like, I'm not gonna take your shit, da 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 da. But it's weird, like how I said it's chopped up. It makes it so hard to read. But once I start a book, I have to finish it just to know how it ends. So, they do a lot of back and forth, and what I don't get, okay, because here's the thing. Like when they start working together, there's some flirting going on, and it goes from them saying that they can never be together, like they can never do anything with each other, to her literally popping up at his house and them having sex, and then saying like it can never happen again. And then at work, everything is cool. They act like it never happened. To bam, he's out eating with someone, and then she walks in the door with someone else, and he gets jealous and gets up and tells her to leave. And it's like, why? Nothing makes sense. It does not make sense, and it's driving me fucking crazy trying to have to explain it, because it doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't flow together, and it's pissing me off. Like, God, it makes no sense. And then he fires her. And so then he sees her out again with a nope. Did we even get that far yet? Yeah, I think I'm right. Um, yeah, he fires her. So of course, then he sees her out again with a man he assumes that she's like tricking off with, but it's actually her new boss. He's like, "What do you mean your new boss?" Nope, 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 no, no, no. My bad. Nope, that's later on. Let me back. Sorry. So he sees her out, like, and she's with a guy, and he just talks crazy to her. Like, I knew you was a trifling hoe from the start. Like, you big, like, just saying some off the wall shit that's so random. And then, like, there's a possibility that she could be pregnant, and he tells her if she is, she better get rid of it. And so she finds out that she is pregnant, and then she takes a few days off of work, and he goes to her house to quote unquote check on her, even though he swore up and down he didn't give a fuck about her. He don't want to hear, not like, he don't want to be tied to her, none of that shit. And so she actually does get the abortion, and then with him showing up at her house, she's crying, saying, I thought we had feelings for each other, or I had feelings for you, and I did what you told me to do, and so why are you at my door? And somehow, as soon as he hears that she actually had an abortion, that makes him upset, and want to take care of her, because he didn't think that she would actually do it. And so now this somehow brings them closer together, and they decide to be in a relationship. And he threatens her and says, you better not play with me, you better not hurt me, if I let you in, you better be for real, and all this stuff. And lo and behold, he's the one to hurt her. It's like, nigga, you've been hurting her since y'all got together, all this hooping and hollering that you've been doing for no damn reason. And then his this is the part I really didn't get. It was his birthday, right? Like, she went all out for his birthday. And he's like, how did you afford these gifts? This motherfucker took out a loan to make his birthday a nice birthday, because she don't have the type of money that he has. And so she met his mama, like the mama love her, everything is great. And they both yell out her name like promise, and she takes off running upstairs, like crying, like, I just wanted you to have a nice birthday, and I don't have the type of money that you have. I have to pay for my house, and it's like, girl, you literally make no fucking sense. And so Then it's like right after his birthday, everything was great. Oh, motherfucker. That's what happened. That is what fucking happened. Lo and behold, not lo and behold, the reason he created this club, he does this all the time. Um, he goes to a different state, opens up a club, has sex with the woman that he has running the club, like the manager, like makes a woman the manager, start having sex with her, make her feel like they're in a relationship, and then he leaves. But like he'll fly to that state, have sex with them, and then fly off somewhere else. So, just to keep them on the hook long enough. And they had a fight about that, but they got back together, whoop de whoop, whatever. Because it was just like, child, because Robert was the actual manager, because Promise only does the financial, but he just said it so casually one day, like, this is what he does, right? And she was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, and like breaks it down for her, and she was looking at him, and then he's like, oh, you didn't know? It's like, no, nigga, when I asked you the first time, like, what are you talking about? You could tell that I didn't know nothing about it. But anywho, then like one day his ex pops up just randomly, and it's just like, what the fuck is going on here? And this is the same ex that makes him have a chip on his shoulder and be rude to all women, to call them bitches, hoes, and gold diggers. um so it's just like, how does bitch pop back up? And at first, Promise is trying to get her in her place, but Hurricane is like, no, actually, you're fired. Turn in your key. Um, I don't want to see you anymore, and all this type of shit. And they had just been trying to get her pregnant again because, she aborted the last baby. So now that they were in this relationship, they were trying to make another baby. And so, she is actually pregnant, but I don't think she did not tell him yet. Duh. And so he had a gift for her, like a bracelet, but the ex took that. I'm like, man, what the fuck? So she's cussing him out, like while they at the top of the stairs, and she's like hitting on him. But he grabs her arms and tells her, don't put your hands on me, whoop de whoop, whatever. And as he's letting her go, you would think that he pushed her down the stairs, because she goes tumbling down the stairs. And Hurricane doesn't go to check on her at all. He just walks back into his office with the ex. Well, he like threw the ex in the office, but he walks back in the office and closed the door. It's like, you ain't gonna go check on her, none of that. And then let's tie back over to Shanice and Reggie. Trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. I don't understand why y'all don't put trigger warnings at the beginning of y'all books either, to warn people what they may read or see, because you do have victims who like to read and who may be triggered by this information or by these words that they are about to read. So, once again, trigger warning of sexual assault. So, if you do not want to hear about this, please cut the episode off now, because that is the rest of the episode. So, Reggie is going into business with Hurricane. Um, Oh, also, Reggie has like a laundromat that was set on fire and people died on the inside. Um, and Hurricane has another guy that he was working with, but Reggie warned Hurricane, like, you're working with a snake, so you might want to look into that, or like get rid of him or something like that. But anyway, Shanice gets into the car with a man who pulls up and says, Reggie sent me, so I'm here to get you. Which, it's like, if he ain't never did no shit like that before, and he didn't call you and tell you that he was sending somebody to pick you up,
Why would you just freely get into the car? But anyway, while she's in the back of the car, she gets a call from Reggie, like, where are you? And so she tells him, like, I'm with the guy that you saying. She's like, he tells her, I did not send that person, you need to get out of that car. But it's like, of course, if a nigga is gonna kidnap you, the fucking door will not open. It's a child lock. And so the driver is just looking at her, skidding and grinning, like, yeah, bitch, you finally figured it out. And so when they get to the place, the guy drags her out, drags her into the house, and rapes her, which did not need to happen. It was so unnecessary. And it's the casual way that it's talked about and described that just really turned my stomach. Because it's like, why did this pregnant woman have to be raped? And then I'm like, then you go into how she was raped not only once, but twice, and in her vagina and in her asshole. And it's just like, can you please? But of course not. Like, what is a book without rape? I don't understand. It's like, if you get with a drug dealer, you're gonna be kidnapped and you're gonna be raped because you are involved with a drug dealer. There are so many books that I have read, and I think this is gonna be my last time talking about this, like where that is a part of the story. Like, and it has been for some people. But just because niggas sell drugs don't automatically mean that their woman is gonna get raped. And I wish y'all would stop. The shit I don't know. And I know it's like it's urban fiction, girl, like relax. But I've said many times, I read books to escape thoughts. I don't need to read this shit, man. Like, I just want to read about arguments and making up. Like, all this other shit is so unnecessary. But I don't, yeah, I don't see myself reading the other. Because when I see it's a series, I download all of them. So if I like it, it's just gonna float. As soon as I'm done, I already got the other one in my library. We can keep it going. So the way this one stops is because they got her to the hospital, and Reggie, being he, asked her, who did this to you? And before she passed out, all she said was hurricane. And so of course he's pissed, like the motherfucker I'm going into business with. And so he pulls up on Hurricane at the club and shoots him twice in the chest. And that's how the story ends. And I was already like over it, but I tried. I was like, I've committed myself to this, so I'm gonna see how it ends. And actually, I can't fucking do it. I think I got to, I don't even know what percentage it is in the book, but I know that Promise and Hurricane are still doing this back and forth thing of him swearing that he don't want the ex-girlfriend, but she's still there because she somehow kills all the women that he gets close to, although she did him dirty and he doesn't want to be back with her. She just refuses to leave him alone. And he, besides going to a different state to find these women to run his club, he's also like running away from the ex at the same time. And I'm like, just kill her and deal with the consequences, because that literally makes no fucking sense, because she's always going to fucking find you. And come to find out that Shanice did not mean that a Hurricane did it. It was Hurricane's friend, the sneaky motherfucker that Reggie was telling Hurricane about. But because she passed out after she said Hurricane, Reggie just went with that. And so um Hurricane's best friend Arnold, when he found Reggie, like he finally saw Reggie, he shot Reggie. So now Reggie um is getting shot. And then another thing, fuck these kids, man. Cause Shanice, like, she's just in love with the little daughter now. That's her stepchild, whoop de whoop, whatever. I'm just like, man, what the fuck ever. Fuck these kids. Um, but yeah. And I know this review is terrible, and but I'm so sorry, but this is awful. It's truly awful. That's all I got. I, y'all probably ain't gonna like this one, so I ain't even gonna say I hope you like it. Peace and blessings, my beautiful people. I'm out.